What's up, YouTube? It's Scotty here with Will Ball for Soup, and this is the life story of my very first paintball tournament. This changed my life forever. Now, if you guys want to see content like this continue, please mash that sub button. When I get to 20,000 subs, I'm going to be giving away a gun, and you can hold me to that. Also, today's sponsor is absolutely nobody. So if you want to see this content remain sponsor-free, no product placement, that type of thing, let's get to 20K, guys. I know we can do it. The legend begins when I was a freshman in high school. So I had this deal with my dad, where if I stayed on the football team and I got a 3.0 or better, he would buy me a high-end setup, and he would cover my paintball pretty much every week. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yo, this kid's spoiled as all hell. But high school was tough for me, man. When the football season wrapped up, I was what's called the Rec Ball All-Star. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. So there's this guy who shows up to the rec ball game every weekend. They're wearing a jersey, they're wearing tournament pants, high-end setup, ramping gun. And their skill level's definitely higher than the average player. And they're just dominating. But you're like, what's this guy doing at the rec ball field? So I was that rec ball all-star, and I was a big fish in a small bowl, and it was inflating my ego. I had such a big head. I got my big break, my foot in the door to tournament paintball, when I was playing rec ball at an indoor field on a scenario type map. Now, I was playing the 50-yard line, I was shooting in, I was doing really good, I was stacking the bodies. And one of the managers of the park was watching me play, and he started coaching me. It was really weird. I know this is super illegal and not really the best look, but he was like, yo, do you play tournaments? I'm like, no, I don't. What do you want, dude? It's like, okay, do you want to close the game? Do you know how to close a game? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, all right, kid, I'm gonna make it simple. Stand up, run the tape, send it, and I guarantee you it's gonna work out. So I'm sitting there just kind of gunfighting, enjoying myself, being a big fish in a small bowl. And I stand up and I send it, and I finally get that 3-pack, and my head is just exploding off my shoulders. I'm like, yo, I'm Ollie Lang now. Like, I dominate this field. This is my field. And I'm talking smack, and I go back to the staging area, and this manager follows me. I'm like, oh no, what did I do now? A part of me really does owe my paintball career to the talk that followed that rec ball game. I'm sitting down, I'm filling my pods, and the manager's just standing right next to me, kind of eyeing me up. He's like, so you said you're really not on a team? I don't believe it. I'm like, no, dude, I've never played a tournament. I'm not on a team. I don't even know how to get on a team. I don't know where the teams are. Who do I even talk to? He's like, well, you know, I run a team, and we have a Young Guns team and a PSP team, and I bet you can get on one of them if you kind of stick with it enough. I'm like, man, I'm already paying like $75 just to play rec ball one day. I don't really know if I can afford to be on a team. He's like, the good news, dude, is we're sponsored. So you see that $75 you're paying for one day of paintball right now? Let's cut that in about half, and that's the costs you're looking at for a practice with us. I'm like, dude, no way, it's cheaper? You'll just give me a sponsorship? You're trying to sponsor me? So I was hyped as hell. I'm like, all right, I gotta figure out where this team is, who they practice with, get there no matter what, convince my parents that I can join, and I'm well on my way to being a pro paintballer. He's like, the next practice is actually tomorrow. It's Saturday. Our practice is on Sunday. I'm like, dude, people play paintball Sunday mornings that early? Because I was going like late night sessions, so like, I don't know, 6 to 10 p.m. at night at the indoor. He's like, did you not know that real paintball is played on Sunday mornings, kid? I'm like, no, I actually didn't. It's like, think about it. The people you're here with are here for fun. None of them have a ramping gun. They don't even know what ramping is. None of them know how to gunfight. You are here as a big fish in a small bowl, and this isn't gonna make you better. What's gonna make you better at paintball is showing up to these real Sunday morning team practices with us. I'm like, dude, say less, I'm sold. I convinced my parents, I'm like, Mom, Dad, this is my big break. If I don't show up to this team practice, my paintball career will never get off the ground. I need this so bad. My dad's like, well, how much money do you need, kid? I'm like, only $35, which is such a value, man. They had a sponsorship at an indoor reball field, which was about an hour away. And it was $35 for like a 3 or 4 hour practice, all the reballs you can shoot. I'm like, man, this is the dream. I'm living the paintball dream just after one conversation with a coach. So I get dropped off at the referee's house, and he's got his parents' Suburban, and we're just loading that thing up with guys to get to the reball facility at like 7 a.m. This is stupid early. I'm half asleep. But I'm like, you know what? I gotta go as hard as I can to do whatever it takes to show this team that I'm worthy to be a part of it. I wish I had footage of my very first team practice, but I don't. I do remember getting absolutely dunked on, destroyed. I was doing so bad, I was scared to line up for some of the drills that they were doing. I would kind of float to the back of the line and be like, yo, don't make me do this, don't make me do this. But I did it anyway, I got through it. And the one thing I remember that's hilarious about this thing is the only person I shot out in the entire practice was the coach himself, who was probably a good 15 years older than me. And you know what? This guy didn't even go out. And he's like, yo, I laned you on that slide, dude. Why didn't you go out? He's like, yo, Scotty, they all bounced. I'm like, sad. While my performance in that first practice was absolute dog shit, I learned so much, like where to put a lane, how to slide, how to ghost bunkers and delay. Like I didn't even know what a delay was, but I was adding so many new elements to my game. I was just obsessed with it. And I learned the drills to do to get better. So I had a knowledge that just doubled in one practice. And the guys were really nice. Like they knew I was new to tournament play and they had been playing 2-3 seasons of events. And they were really happy to have somebody who's just that excited to learn about the game. The other part of it too was like, I got to be around other people who had high-end guns. Like I had an SFT shocker and like one of the guys had a Dynasty shocker, and the other one had a Shock Tech shocker. I'm like, whoa, private label shockers in real life? No way. I just remember being so hyped, I couldn't wait to go to the next one. I only ended up staying with this team for just a couple months. They announced their rosters for both the Chi-Town series and the PSP, and sadly, I was not ready yet for either of those lines. They explained it to me that they loved having me around. They loved being able to practice with me and see me get better, but I just wasn't ready yet. Now, as a younger teenager, I didn't want to accept that. I had put in so much work. I wanted that shot, but they weren't going to give it to me just yet. I left the team and made the decision to start my own. I was going to use the drills and the knowledge that I learned from this team to create my own, and we're going to play our own tournaments, and hopefully one day maybe defeat them at an event. My very first paintball team was called CTK, or the Chi-Town Convicts, because Convicts is spelled with a K. That's how the edgy kids do it. I recruited my team through players who were regulars at my indoor. So other rec ball all-stars, I was kind of telling them the dream, right? Getting sponsored, playing tournaments, playing paintball for about half as much money as you were paying back then. And I got a couple guys to buy in. And what we would do is have late night drill days at the indoor. And I convinced the manager, the same manager who got me onto his team. I'm like, hey man, I'm doing my own thing now. Do you want to help us? Just like a little bit? He's like, all right. How about instead of 75 a case, we'll do 40 a case. And that's all we needed to get this thing off the ground. Getting that initial deal with a paintball field, just to make it a little bit more affordable, got people to buy into the system. And we were doing the same drills that we were doing at the other team's practices. It was just all younger guys, all people who have never played an event before, getting better together. That grind was some of the most memorable and my favorite era of paintball for me. Instead of playing in the PSP, my team decided to focus on smaller tournaments. One of the series that we had our eyes on was in Wisconsin at the Siege. Now, Chicago tournaments were tough. The CTS was legit, and we weren't ready for that. So we made the decision to start at the Siege. Now, our first tournament was on winter break, and it was at this barn. I know, the Siege is still alive and they've relocated, but the OG Siege, if some of you guys know what I'm talking about, was a barn. The upstairs of the barn was converted into this little 3-man field, and that's where I played my very first tournament ever. And things were not off to a good start. The Timmy that I was shooting at that tournament was off to a horrific start. I could not get the tournament paint out of my barrel. It was cold. This was probably winter break, and I was just shooting splooge everywhere, man. I could not get the paint out of my barrel. In the very first point, we were going against a team that was shooting way crappier guns than we had. They were shooting like electronic spiders and ions, and we had proto matrices and Timmies. We should have roasted them. But no, they totally 3-0'd us, and it was a disaster. I went back to the staging area at this tournament, and I overheard somebody asking, hey, you guys played CTK, right? Yeah, we did. Oh, how were they? Were they good? Nah, dude, CTK was easy. And that lit a fire under me. I'm like, bro, we are not dropping another game at this event. No way. So I go out of the barn and I hop on the phone and I call my tech up. I'm like, yo, tech, my gun is shooting absolute chungus right now. I need help. So he was giving me an over the phone tech session to get my Timmy to break less paint. And I was following his directions and he was basically telling me what settings I needed to go into, drop the LPR pressure a little bit, maybe shoot a little bit less velocity, make sure everything's clean inside. And you know what? The tech session on the phone got my gun back up and running. I was so happy. I didn't want to play this my first event and not have a working gun. That would have been a disaster. But because my tech was so helpful, like Jeff, I'll never forget this dude. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking my call and helping me through it. So we started rolling after that. The wins started stacking up and we finished the prelims undefeated except for that first loss. What was really special about this first tournament was one of the guys on our team had his little brother there on his own team. And of course they got sent home in the prelims because they were like 10, but that's neither here nor there. When they saw that we made the finals bracket, I remember this guy's little brother walking up to us and being like, hey, we got sent home, we're out of this thing. Do you guys want to have our paint? I'm like, for free? It's like, yeah, dude, congrats on making it. Like, here, just take it. We got to go home. My mom wants to get out of here. I'm like, bro, thank you so much. I'll never forget their generosity and how special it was to have somebody look up to you like that. That just shows like how strong the community is in the tournament paintball scene. Out of about the 20 teams who made this tournament, only 6 got to go to the finals bracket. We finished the finals 3-3. So we finished 3rd out of 20 in my very first tournament ever. We won tanks, and just getting something out of playing paintball was so special. Of course, I already had a tank, but that meant I could sell the tank that we won, play more paintball, and get to another tournament. It was like everything that I put in had manifested into that one moment. While we didn't get first or second, we made the finals our very first event, and we got something to show for it. The plaque that we won in that tournament is still in my room in my parents' house today. And whenever I visit, I always make sure to give it a good look and remember how awesome it was to play my first event. A huge shout out to the Siege for putting on these tournaments. They really started my paintball career, and they did a great job of keeping sandbaggers out of these things. So I'm really happy to see that the Siege is still alive today. Although the barn, the OG Siege barn, is done, the new Siege location looks great. And one day when I'm in the Midwest, I'm gonna visit it and tell them thank you. The reason I'm talking about this is with everything going around in the world right now, it really pushes you to think about what's important and what you want in life. What's important for me right now is to make another run at tournament paintball. I've been media exclusive for about 2 or 3 seasons, but I want to play another tournament and I'm getting ready for it. I got a personal trainer, more on that later, but I'm making a push to have one more run at that former glory. If you guys remember your first tournament, leave a comment. How did you guys do? Where do you play it at? Is there anything that sticks out in your mind to this day? That being said, this is Scotty from Willball for Soup, wrapping up some very awesome memories that I will never forget and that have changed my life forever. Be safe, guys.